It's an honor and a pleasure. Welcome to TishTalksTech. And if y'all don't know, this is Todd Brooks, CEO of FalconStor. I'm Leticia Carrell. You can call me Tish. We're all friends here. Look, we're going to start our interview. We're at TechXchange.
Yes.
Where you all were down in the booth today with a fantastic demo.
Yeah. Henry did a great job.
And we were talking about StorSafe. Do you want to start there?
Sure. Why don't we start there? Well, first, let me back up a little bit. I mean, that is currently what we're focused on primarily with IBM. But, I tell a lot of people that we're all in on IBM because it's absolutely true. One of the reasons we're all in on IBM is because over the years, we've had multiple partnerships at different times with IBM since 2000. And because of that, our technology has evolved to integrate very, very well into IBM Power ecosystem. So IBM AIX, PowerVS. So StorSafe is kind of the latest and greatest product that we focused on. And it's what's called in the industry a backup target. So you'll have a backup software. It could be Veeam. It could be BRMS if you're an IBM person. It could be Spectrum Protect. And you'll typically then write that backup data somewhere. You could write it to tape. In the old-fashioned world, they still do it a lot.
Still.
You could write it to disk somewhere. Or over the last 20 years, backup targets have become very popular. And so you'll write it to a backup target, who will then take the data and deduplicate it, so that you save storage, and then you can decide where do you want to ultimately store that data. Do you want to store it maybe back on a tape? Or do you want to store it on a SAN somewhere, on-prem? Or do you want to store it in cloud object storage, like an IBM Cause, as an example. Mm-hmm. And so for example, Henry was demoing what we call deployable architectures that we've worked on with IBM, where you can essentially, this is going to be simplification, right? You simply click a button and it deploys everything that you need in Power Virtual Server to run, in this case, StorSafe. Right? So yes, that's the product that we focus most on with IBM now over the last, I guess, 3 years.
Yeah. When we were watching the demo, it's a crowd of people, first of all.
Yeah.
Everybody was kind of in awe. You can hear like a pin drop amongst all of the sound, right? The murmur of the crowd. But everyone was so locked in because we could not get over the standardization, simplification. It was just aligned. So the moment that we saw how everyone could we all were like, wait, all you have to do is point and click.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. Just really simple and so streamlined. So kudos to FalconStor to be able to do that.
Let's just be honest. You remember, and so Henry was in a booth with IBM, right? Because this has been something that IBM's been championing, and we've come alongside them to help. But it's not been just a FalconStor thing, but It is something that IBM's working on very hard to create automation, to make the process of getting into PowerVS easier and setting up easier, because it can be complicated. And so you need a small set. It can be a long process. I mean, how do I set this network up? How do I set this up? How do I set that up? And so deployable architects is what IBM calls them, is meant to make the process as simple as possible. One click if possible. That's usually not just one click.
Not in my, okay.
Yeah.
But what we saw today was just aligned, really genius. I like it. So I want to ask you about your journey, because the audience really wants to know, like, how did you become who you are? Let's start with right after school.
Oh, me personally, not FalconStor. FalconStor is more interesting now. So I'm an engineer by degree.
Okay.
I studied aerospace engineering at Virginia Tech and worked in engineering for about 6 years. Ended up at FedEx as an aircraft engineer. And while at FedEx, I moved over to another department that took delivery of new airplanes. And so it was more of a business function. and less of a engineering function. And so that kind of got me into the business side of the world. And then, after FedEx, then I got into software in the mid 90s and then transitioned more into private equity operating group in the mid 2000s. And since then, I've been what's called an operating partner at private equity firms for 20 years now. And what that means is, a private equity firm will have portfolio companies, and then they'll bring in folks to operate these companies or improve them or grow them or whatever. And so I had the good fortune of being able to come in and work with FalconStor in 2017 is when it started. Matter of fact, about just a hair over 8 years ago now.
Wow.
And so, FalconStor had been a company that started in 2000. It grew like crazy, and then it kind of fell on hard times. And so we've had to rebuild it. And so we've had to restructure it, get it back profitable again. And so we've done all that. Now we're in the mode of, okay, how are we going to grow this company? One of the reasons back several years ago, we made the decision to go all in. As an area, as a smaller company, we can win in a very crowded and competitive market. And our technology works very well in IBM. And so, that's where we're focused now. But that's kind of my journey. I started as an engineer, then moved into, operations and then into software, leadership. But that's my journey.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the demographic that watches TishTalksTech, right? They ask, like, are people real? Are these technologists real? Are they CEOs real? And they wonder, like, did they actually go to school where they have to do the hard work and you actually put in the work?
Yeah, but I think like a lot of us, you go to school and you learn some like basic skill, right?
Yeah.
And so in the case of me in engineering, what do you learn? You learn problem solving, right? You learn how to think logically.
Yeah.
And that then you can extend into just about any career, any business career.
Yeah.
And so, I think about the world like that from a process perspective and how do I solve this problem? No, you don't learn how to run a company or you don't learn, how to do what you're doing in school, but you do learn some of the basic foundation of it. Yeah.
So how has becoming a technologist enhanced your outlook on life, especially at FalconStor?
Yeah.
Because what you've done with FalconStor is just, you literally fed the Falcon. It's amazing how you all are doing.
Well, I think, in the case of FalconStor, I think it's the case in a lot of companies, along the way, you'll have opportunity to innovate, right? And come up with, it's especially true for a company like FalconStor. You might call it a legacy software company, right? Okay, IBM's the same way, right? So IBM's had to figure out where are they going to focus their efforts over the last 6 or 8 years. And to their credit, they've done a fantastic job moving into hybrid cloud, right? Into AI with watsonx and now quantum. And they figured out to kind of pivot, if you will, but not run from the legacy from the past, but tweak it and evolve from it in modern technology, right? And they've done a brilliant job of doing that. And so we think about FalconStor the same way. How do we take what we have and how do we tweak it? And so in our case, we try to align it with the IBM vision, hybrid cloud data protection. And then how do we take advantage of AI to come alongside with that? Either to make it more efficient or to add more functionality that maybe wasn't there before. And so you may have heard we started this what on day one was just a chatbot. Right. So I'll tell you the story because it's true and I think there's a little transparency. So we went to IBM Think in 2024. We go every year, but we went to 2024 and honestly, my impression at the time was IBM is behind on AI. And so we went, and that entire conference was about AI. And we left Think 2024 with the impression that, oh, wait a minute, we're the ones that are behind. IBM's not behind. We need to get on the bandwagon here. So we went back and we spun up this little bitty team to figure out what's next. And we essentially said, go do something productive, right? Create something internal that we can use, but figure out what's next. And so they created this little chat bot Somebody ultimately named him Thomas, to go along Thomas Watson, right?
Yeah.
And we started using Thomas internally in, I guess, late 24. And our sales guys started to use him. Our technical folks started to use him to answer FalconStor questions, right? Internal stuff.
Mhm.
And once we began to see how they were using it, we were like, wait a minute, we can expand this outside of the company. And so we opened them up in March, to IBM partners. And so now Thomas has evolved into a free tool. We provide free charge to any IBM partner. And we've got 100, I don't know, I think 10 users now, 40 something partners, 20 something countries that use Thomas to learn more about FalconStor solutions, how to architect them. And now we're expanding Thomas to be much more IBM ecosystem aware, not just FalconStor, because we want to use this AI tool and this technology to deepen engagement with our partners. That's who we sell for. And so the hypothesis is the more we engage with our partner, the more we deliver value to them, the more they'll engage with us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so one example we just launched is you can now, let's say you're an IBM partner and you want to go create, you need to answer some technical question about PowerVS. Traditionally, what you might do is you might go pull the IBM Red Book on Power 11 and you read through the table of contents and you go to section 2.9 and you get your answer, right? We've trained Thomas on the latest 60 Red Books and we'll continue to train him. So you can just go ask Thomas.
You can do it.
You can do it. Hey, Thomas, how do I give you some best practices for networking on Power Virtual Server? Go. And he'll go read through. I mean, he's got to memorize, right?
Yeah.
And he'll come back with your answers. And then he references properly, right? Because we have to protect IBM's information. But he'll reference the right Red Book. And if you want to go read the Red Book, you just click on it. You go right to the Red Book and read it, right? Those are all publicly available. We're just making it easier to consume for people that use that information every single day, right? And so that's an example then of how we're trying to innovate as FalconStor. Here again, around what we do, the core of what we do which is data protection, but using some modern technology, in this case, watsonx, to do it. And so it's a lot of fun. And we've turned him into this little character guy. And we do videos now of him, our marketing group, they do videos of him and he's got his own Instagram page. And we're trying to bring a, personality to him.
Right.
Right. And so he's got, like I say, he's got his own Instagram page. You'll see a video probably of him walking around TechXchange and saying, this is cool and that's cool. And we did that, I think, in May, this latest thing.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. So we try to turn him into something fun, but yet showcase the technology at the same time.
Yeah. I love that. And I like how he's able to, and I say he very loosely, Thomas, is able to go through and you can utilize that technology to the best. That's amazing.
Well, and I'll tell you one thing that we're doing, Letitia, too, is we're trying to get deeper shoulder to shoulder with IBM champions like yourself.
Yeah.
Because at every IBM partner we deal with, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 IBM champions that are the technical leaders in those groups. And so they've given us a lot of ideas on how we can evolve Thomas down the road to deliver more value to the IBM ecosystem, especially partners.
Mm.
So, we're all ears on ideas on how to kind of evolve Thomas to drive more value.
We love that. We're here for that. I want to know, you all specialize in hybrid cloud, data protection, modernization. How did that piece come to be? There's a lot of folks, that are out there. How are you all like the premier? Because when I tell you that there's no one that does it like you that I've seen here lately, how are you able to keep up? Because you're leading the pack, you're flying over everybody else.
Well,
do you like these puns?
Yeah, they're great. Well, I mean, honestly, a lot of it has to do with our heritage with IBM.
Yeah.
And the fact that we have integrated over the years with IBM technology so well. And that's not trivial.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there are a lot of products that don't work with IBM I, or they don't work on Power. They just don't. They haven't imported or the company hasn't invested to make them work on IBM. We did a lot of the time. And so as over the last 5 years, as IBM began to migrate more into hybrid cloud, we just went with them. And so when they began to open up PowerVS data centers, right? They're now called Power Virtual Server, but in the day it was PowerVS when they first started. We became the go-to, the certified backup target in Power Virtual Server. Okay, so let's take a very simple, easy to understand use case.
Okay.
If you're an IBM shop,
Mm-hmm.
you have an IBM on-prem,
Mm-hmm.
you back up your IBM on with BRMS, which is built into IBM on, and traditionally you've backed up to tape.
Okay.
Now you could also back up to a virtual tape library. A lot of people did that, but you backed up to tape. But when IBM PowerVS was launched, and still today, there's no tape. There is no option for tape. So you have to back up to a virtual tape library. And we're the certified solution for that. So we filled the gap because of a technical decision that IBM made not to put tape in the data centers. Totally fine. And so we were able to just easily slot in, and we became the hybrid cloud choice then, because now you can have a StorSafe on-prem. You can have one in PowerVS. You can replicate between the two back and forth. You can migrate workloads. You can have a second copy of your on-prem data to the cloud for compliance, maybe. Can move a workload and then only operate in the cloud. So true hybrid cloud. You have a choice as a customer in what you want to do, right? And so I mean, it just kind of, to be honest, it just kind of came naturally with the way the technology is designed, right?
It's just bridging the gap and building a stronger bridge, if you can. So last question, how can IBM Champions and other technologists get in touch with FalconStor?
Well, easy way, FalconStor.com.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an IBM partner that we work with, like I said, any IBM partner can use Thomas free of charge.
Okay.
And so you can go and register for Thomas. Just go to FalconStor.com and there's a register button. Or if you happen to get an email from any of us, down in our signature is a link to register for Thomas. But it's simple. You register. Within a couple of days, you'll get credentials because we validate everybody.
For sure.
We don't let just anybody use Thomas. It has to be an IBM partner. So we validate that. Okay, yes, Letitia is okay, and we'll give her credentials, and then we return those back. Super easy process, and you just start taking advantage of Thomas. But otherwise, FalconStor.com. There's a contact me or contact us button. You can get scheduled demos on the website. You can do all that.
Okay, that's awesome.
Oh, and from a go-to-market and an ordering procurement perspective,
Mm-hmm.
we have two titles right now, actually three, but two main ones in the cloud catalog. So you just do like a one-click install for PowerVS,
Okay.
for StorSafe, or you can buy the on-prem version through the cloud catalog also. And all of that then gets billed through the IBM standard mechanism to the customer. So FalconStor.com to learn more, right? Or if you actually ready to order, you can just go right to the IBM Cloud Catalog and order.
All right. Easy solution.
So
Powerful. I appreciate you and thank you for your time.
just appreciate it.
Appreciate
Great to meet you too.
Likewise. And thank you so much for hanging out with us today. And we'll talk to you soon.